Welcome to Roots and Resilience. I'm Dr. Tejal.
And I'm Dr. Nehal. We have had some incredible conversations with inspiring individuals that we feel compelled to share with you all.
Listen with an open mind and an open heart. You never know, you might just pick up a pearl that might spark something in you.
Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of Roots and Resilience. We are so excited to have Elysha Malhi with us. She is a dentist with a long-standing interest in gym and fitness, and more recently has developed a passion in calisthenics. Welcome to the episode, Elysha. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm really excited about this.
Great. So let's roll back all the way to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about little Elysha.
So where my fitness journey started would have been, I was 21 at university, so studying dentistry. Previous to that, had no experience in the gym at all, and I think it was a couple of guys on my course actually that I went along with. They showed me a few exercises, and at that time we had the ladies only gym, ladies only section in the gym. So um, it's difficult when you first start out, being able to work out around so many guys that are in the gym and you don't feel so confident. So it was nice. They showed me a few exercises and then I could just go work out on my own in the ladies only section, and just built up my confidence that way. And used to just work it around my university schedule, really, going in the mornings before lectures, and just made it part of my routine. Um, and so the more I did it, the more I learned about it. Online, there's just so much information, all about fitness and exercises and things you could do. So I would do different things, and ask for some advice.
Amazing. And so when you
Yeah,
were when you were growing up in your teenage years, were you into fitness or sport at all, or was it something that started in university?
a little bit here and there at school, I suppose. Just school activities really would be your standard like netball, a bit of cross country, but I wasn't really heavily into anything sports related. It was all very much academic in my school.
Did you find that when you were you sort of got introduced to gym, let's say in your early 20s whilst you're at university, once you qualified and kind of left uni life and joined the
Mm.
real world and so to speak, is that something that you continued to build on or that stayed with you? Or was it something that you used to dip in and out of?
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of both. So it did stay with me, but I was definitely had my phases of being on and off with it. Um, but when you get back into going to the gym, once you've been for a little period of time, you kind of know what to do. It's just always difficult easing back in because you feel weak again, and then you've got to build that up. But it definitely helped, having experience of being in the gym during university. And then whenever I felt like I needed to get back on top of it or go back in there, I kind of knew what to do. So I would just go back to my usual routine.
And what do you like doing in the gym? Are you cardio? Are you weights? And then how did that transfer into calisthenics?
So I've always been heavily, sort of weight training, to be honest. Like I said, there was a couple of guys at my university that actually showed me what to do at the gym. So uh, they're the ones that would show me, kind of weighted exercises and the benefits of doing that. And then I learned about the benefits of actually strength training. A goal of mine was never really, you know, losing a lot of weight. So I was always of the mind that cardio was, if you wanted to get a lot of, shift a lot of weight, I suppose. And then with the weight training, what I really wanted to do was build strength and build muscle, because I felt like I was always very small. I'm a 5'2" girl. I was very petite, but just felt very weak, and I just wanted to build up a bit of strength.
And what has that done for you kind of emotionally? Like when you look at yourself now, 5'2", got some muscle on her, been to the gym, done some weights. Do you feel like there's a shift in your attitude and your mental, health?
Absolutely. I mean, fitness, anything that you do fitness related, I think it gives you a massive boost of self-confidence, and it does wonders for your mental health, even more than your physical health, I think. And, you know, arguably it could be like therapy for some people. And definitely for myself, it's that time that I spend on just me. And I know I'm working on pushing my own boundaries, on my self-growth. And I feel a sense of achievement when I leave as well. And you will never ever leave at the gym or doing anything fitness related feeling unhappy. You might be tired, you might be hungry, but you'll never ever feel unhappy once you've done a workout.
Wow. Gosh, we need to work out with you. Don't think we lost.
How did you get into calisthenics?
So my calisthenics journey actually started just under 2 years ago.
Actually, I'm going to
And
pause you there, Elysha. What is
yeah,
calisthenics?
right, of course. So calisthenics is a form of strength training which is just focused on body weight alone. So rather than lifting heavy weights in the gym, you are just using your body weight for resistance and strength training. But not only does that help to build muscle and strength, but also it works on your flexibility and it improves your mobility as well. So I had absolutely no idea, no clue, anything about calisthenics. I didn't know what it was prior to about 2 years ago. It started off when I wanted to be able to do pull-ups in the gym. I'd been training, so I said since 21, so maybe about 8, 9 years along now, doing weight training in the gym, feeling stronger. I built up that strength, but I was kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it was getting a bit boring, and B, I felt like my strength wasn't functional enough. So I couldn't understand how I could be so strong and lift such heavy weight, you know, and squat heavy weights, but I couldn't pull my own body weight up on a bar. It just didn't make sense to me. So I approached actually a coach in the gym, and I just told him that my goal was purely just to be able to lift my body weight, just to be able to do more pull-ups. I wasn't concerned about aesthetics. I felt like I was already strong. And I just wanted to be more functional. And actually, it opened a whole new door for me. And I learned so much actually about the field of calisthenics and what it can do for people.
Okay, wonderful. And I think that the key point you mentioned there is that you approached someone for help and you got advice and you got a coach. And I cannot emphasize what an incredible investment it is in your own self to get a trainer or coach, at least to get you started, and give you a bespoke, tailor-made support in achieving your goals, but also just helping you feel happier, healthier, and stronger. So how long was it since you started calisthenics to be able to do your first pull-up?
To be fair, I was able to do a pull-up beforehand, but I wanted to be able to do more pull-ups. So, but the transition from being able to do, you know, a couple of pull-ups to actually being able to do 10 with ease, I'd say, look, it was gradual, and I'm still working on it, but 6 months maybe.
That's
6 months,
quite
but
cool.
yeah,
Yeah, wow.
but I was also doing a lot of other training, a lot of other skills alongside it. So it wasn't just pull-ups, and that's because he introduced me to, you know, a whole variety of exercises that we could do that would benefit me. And I started to see actually, why am I just focusing on pull-ups? There's so much that I can actually do, that I don't need to limit myself there. You know, things like handstands, for example. I had no experience in gymnastics whatsoever, and I thought it was only possible for gymnasts to do things like handstands and, you know, pull themselves around bars. But actually, it's something that I've been able to work towards, because I now understand what's required of those skills, and calisthenics and an understanding of calisthenics has helped to open that up for me.
And how do you learn more about calisthenics? Do you work with this coach that specializes in calisthenics, or do you use particular resources online or, through other friends or the community?
So as I said, he actually introduced me to calisthenics. So before that, I didn't really have access to any information about it. But naturally, the more that you do, the algorithm on Instagram will start to push you certain things. And I just started getting fed more and more videos about calisthenics and people that are involved in it. There's so much information, so many informative videos online. And I would just watch these. I started saving them in folders. I would see certain skills or certain movements, and I would say, I want to learn to do this, or I want to progress to be able to do this. Is this easy to do? So I do really want to stress how much value there is in having a one-to-one coach and someone that has experience in it. Like Tedros said, and going to someone for advice, because that's definitely been able to speed up my progress massively. And you can self-teach everything online these days, but you're going to get much faster results if you have someone that can obviously guide you and structure your programs. And there are a lot of online coaches as well now, but having someone tailor that training for you is definitely going to help way more.
I think there's such a big choice of resources now, like online, in person, and you can pretty much get a coach in anything nowadays. So if you were looking, what do you look for when you're looking to work with a coach?
So I'd actually always previously been very skeptical about personal trainers, because I kind of thought I'd been doing it for so long, and what someone else is going to teach me, and I get the weightlifting and stuff. So it was finding someone who had knowledge in a field that I had no idea about. So that was one thing. So the fact that he was actually specialized in calisthenics. Two, honestly, I think the person is also a brand as well. So he looked like he was well built, he was strong. I saw him with other trainees as well in the gym. So just seeing, how he was training other people. And also he looked like he was built like he did calisthenics as well, and in great shape. So those were kind of indicators to me that he kind of knew what he was doing. And then also just speaking to him as a person and knowing, is this someone that I'm going to get along with? Is this someone who, I see myself training with? Are we gonna sort of match each other's energy well? So yeah, all those things definitely
And
really important.
in your typical week, Elysha, run us through a typical week of like, how much training you would do now, and maybe compared to when you started off when you were 21. What's your kind of like routine?
Okay, when I started out, I would probably spend about an hour in the gym, and I would just pretty much go straight to weightlifting. We did squats and deadlifts, doing a bit of upper body exercises as well. But it would just be about an hour of just focused weightlifting, and that was pretty much it. Maybe like do a little bit on the treadmill, maybe like 10 minutes at the end or something like that, but not much more. Since moving into calisthenics, it has increased, and it's continued to increase the more I've trained as well. So I started off again doing an hour sessions, but the difference was I was now putting in a section for stretching, mobility and stretching, which is super, super important and so underrated. But realizing sort of how essential that was, I had to make extra time for that. And then my workouts themselves started to increase. So I would go to an hour and a half. And now I'm at the stage where I'm actually doing 2 hours in the gym. And that's because I'm also doing a section for handstands. So my workout will consist of mobility training first. So that will be hips, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, getting good range of motion in all of those body parts before I do anything. Then I'll do handstand practice then it will be my workout, which will consist of strength-based exercises and skills-based. And then I'll go into stretching at the end. So I can easily do now 2 hours in the gym, but that's because I've also added more and more skills that I want to work towards, more goals. And I have built up the endurance to be able to work out for that long now as well.
And how many times would you do that? Is that Tej was going to ask the same? We're both like, wow, yeah. How many times do you do that?
Again, that's something that I've built up. So previously, when I used to weight train, I would do, when I started out, maybe 3 times a week to 4 times a week, if I was really good or really on it. But like I said, I had phases when I was on and off. So depends kind of what phase I was in. And then the calisthenics training, it's been 4 times a week, and I've tried to now increase it to 5 times a week. But sometimes it'll be 4 to 5. So it depends. You live life as well. So sometimes you've got to work your schedule around other things, but it's just choosing where to prioritize that versus, other things in your life.
Wow.
That's a massive commitment. Well done, Elysha. I think one of the biggest things I hear, and also from a personal point of view, is one of the biggest challenges is that commitment and discipline to show up for yourself 3, 4, 5 times a week, whether it's half an hour, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, do you ever feel like, actually 2 things, do you work out at the beginning of the day, like before you start work, or do you tend to work out in the evenings after your day of work typically? And second of all, do you ever have those days where you're just like, I really don't want to go, and then most people will feel a lot better for it if they do turn up and show up, no matter how tired or sometimes exhausted they're feeling or not in the mood for it. But there is that little window where your brain is trying to talk you out of it and just to be like, keep you comfortable and just say, well, just have a day off. It doesn't matter. It's okay. How do you override that? So
your first question about morning or evening. So I definitely prefer to work out in the mornings. Quite fortunately, I do some shift work, so I have some later starts with work. I really now find it really difficult to be up really, really early in the morning. So I prefer doing like kind of a late morning workout and then going to work straight after that. I feel like more energized for the day. And it's just a great start to my day. And I like working out during the day. We've got windows in my gym, so you get the light as well. So that just all helps, I think, with like endorphin release and just feeling better. I do obviously have to sometimes work out in the evenings, though, depending on my schedule. And that's always tougher for me, also because the gym is always so much more busy. So even finding a space, and then you just kind of want to get home and you're hungry or you're tired. But I always feel better for it after I've done the workout, even if as I'm going there, I maybe don't want to go there, but once I've done the workout, I definitely feel a lot better and I have a great sleep when I get home. How do I overcome that feeling of being, tired and, thinking it? Because it's very easy to just turn around and say, no, I'm just going to go home. Sometimes you do have to listen to your body and your mind, and you do need to rest. Rest is very important. I did miss out. There was a time that I probably went to the gym like maybe even 6 times a week and 7 times a week. But yeah, rest is super important as well. So sometimes you just have to listen to that. But if you've got a goal, you know that you haven't been to the gym all week and, you want to get at least 2 workouts in or at least 3 workouts in and you haven't done any, sometimes you've got to just push yourself and you want to reach that goal and achieve that goal. So what I say to people in terms of the routine is think of it like work, right? There are days where you don't want to get up for work. You still have to. You don't really have a choice in that, right? Like you could easily skip a day out, but you have to get up, you have to go to work. So see it as part of your routine, part of your schedule. And maybe even plan it in the beginning of the week where you're going to work out. And then it's just a non-negotiable from there.
That's
I
great. So,
like that. That's really good advice. And I know Tejal's nodding as well because my problem is I know I work out twice a week, but I want to be doing 4 times a week. And
Mm,
I need to, for me, it's a secondary thing. I
mm,
think I need to put it at the level of work because it is. Your health and fitness is the most important thing. If you're healthy and you're fit, you'll work better, you'll work for longer. And with all your mobility and stretching thing, I think that is so underrated. I totally agree and really important, especially in our line of work. So I think that's really useful that actually thinking about the week ahead, when are you doing your non-negotiable sessions of movement?
mm.
That's
do,
really, really
do
useful.
you have like a setup at home as well, so you can do certain things at home, or do you kind of like to just have your workouts sort of in packaged in the gym, so that's like your place to work out, and home is more of a place to rest?
Yeah, pretty much. I definitely struggle doing home workouts. And I'm sure some people can relate that when you're home, that's just your place where you just want to chill, it's your comfort, or you just don't feel like you can be as locked in when you're at home. So I definitely prefer being in the gym because I know I can just be really focused on my workout. There's going to be no distractions, and I'm not going to be lazy about it. Um, if I'm at home, then I might just do like a small period of stretching or, some handstand practice, but not a full workout. However, what's great about calisthenics is that it doesn't actually require you to be in the gym at all. It is, like I said, body weighted training. So if you wanted to, you can do calisthenics workouts purely at home, and that actually might work a lot better for some people.
Wow. So I'm really interested in these handstands because I've seen videos of you doing them online and I'm like,
Mm.
wow, this is so cool. Um, what are the benefits of doing a handstand and how do you start approaching handstands?
So, handstands are a very humbling skill to learn if you've never been able to do it ever in your life, by the way. So, it's taken me a lot of time and a lot of patience to build up to it. Um, but as I said, like any calisthenic skill, it helps to improve your mobility, your control, so the stability that's required as well, and the core engagement to be able to hold a handstand too. Um, so a lot of strength in your upper body is required in your shoulders, being able to stretch your arms overhead, which, as you get older, your joints get tighter. You can't actually, move everything the same way that you could when you were younger. Hips get tighter, shoulders get tighter. So practicing that, and then, like I said, the core engagement is going to be great for stability, your abs as well. And it's also just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to learn. A lot of calisthenic skills are. Um, and once you achieve it, it just feels so rewarding. So the way I would learn would be to start with wall handstand. So trying to, first of all, climb up against a wall. If you don't feel confident doing that, there are things that you can do beforehand. So maybe starting on a chair with your legs raised, and just working on holding yourself upside down, because sometimes it's just that fear of even being in an upside down position. So getting used to that. Then you would progress maybe to leaning against a wall, and then one foot at a time, just taking it off and just getting used to being in that upside down position. You're gonna, from doing those kind of drills, be able to start to build shoulder strength. And then once you feel more comfortable, you can start to build the stability that I was talking about. And that's where you have to start to kind of learn the balance. The other thing is yoga. Yoga has a lot of crossover as well with calisthenics. So a lot of the poses they do, a lot of the movements also teach stability and control. So doing frog stands, for example. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen the frog stands.
Yeah, so it's where you're kind of gripping the ground with your hands and you're learning how to control, um, and balance yourself with your hands alone. Um, but again, going back to mobility, you need to have really strong wrists. So I do lots of wrist exercises beforehand to warm up to those kinds of things.
What's an
And
example of a
shoulder.
wrist exercise?
So simple wrist circles, that's one thing. Also placing your hands, so if you're on all fours, your hands on the ground, and then just leaning your weight into your wrist, and then just going in circular motion so that you're actually kind of moving around the joint as well. So do that back and forth. I do it with the hands turned as well, this way and
like
this
this
way.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting. You don't realize you need to work your wrist.
Absolutely. I mean, we're dentists. We're working with our hands all the time, right? Or if you're someone who's writing a lot or typing a lot, your wrist joints actually take a lot of stress. It's so important to make sure your wrists are mobile. When I'm doing calisthenics training, I'm leaning my body weight a lot on my wrists, so that it's really important to have good, strong wrists. Same with elbows, same with shoulders. So you can do elbow circles, you can do shoulder circles as well, and overhead stretches. But people underestimate how important it is to actually warm up these joints, because otherwise, as soon as you injure one of them, it limits anything you can do, your training, your work. So yeah, massive benefits in doing all of that.
Hey, are you enjoying this episode? If you are, you might love our monthly newsletter. It's where Nehal and I share podcast updates, community news, upcoming events, reflections, ideas, and some fun extras. You can sign up at the link in the show notes. Now, back to the conversation.
It's so important to stay safe, actually, which is why I feel like whenever you're trialing something new or dabbling in something new that you're unfamiliar with, it's always good to have someone more experienced to kind of hold your hand a little bit, just to avoid these situations as best as you can, where it just takes you out of action, and that has huge repercussions especially when it's avoidable. Okay, this is really cool. So it's been great to hear about your journey, and thanks for talking about and enlightening us about calisthenics, which is something we're not super familiar with, although we have been on a bit of a fitness journey ourselves in the last few years. Do you do anything outside of the gym, or are your sessions sort of the 3-4 times a week you're going, are they all focused around calisthenics, or do you do anything else fitness wise within or outside the gym?
So calisthenics is heavily upper body. So a lot of my days during my training are upper body focus. I try and do leg days as well in there, weight training, just my usual weight training still, and also working in mobility on those days. And then I've kind of dabbled in other things, and I've got things that I want to do as well. I think it's great to be a hybrid athlete, and experience working on different things. So one thing is that I'm very aware that I'd like to get my endurance up more. So like I said, calisthenics is very much strength training. So I've done run clubs, and it's amazing how fast people run, and how they can run for so long and do marathons. I'm not going to be at the point where I'm doing marathon training, but I definitely like to build up my endurance of doing like a fast 5K run. High rocks classes as well. Doing kind of HIIT type workouts will definitely build up your endurance a lot more. You're doing those exercises and then having to go on long runs after. So it's just getting used to keeping your heart rate at a very high rate for a long period of time, which is something I'm not used to because I take rests between my workouts. I've been a bit of tennis, and I'm just I like to get involved in anything socially, really. So if anyone ever asks me to go and do something fitness related, bouldering even, then I'm always up for it. So just trying new and different things. It's
And
just amazing
that's
to see what
actually
you're
so
capable
cool
of.
because even recently, when catching up with friends, I've suggested, let's go for a walk. So you're catching up, you're not just
Yeah.
meeting for like dinner, but okay, let's grab a coffee, go for a walk, or let's, keep moving or get our steps in or do something. And it's a really good point there because you could literally you could go bouldering. You could, go to the gym together. So I think having that at the back of your mind, depending on who you're meeting up with, to try and combine your social engagements with a fitness activity means that you enjoy things a lot more and you're releasing all the good stuff. You're getting your dopamine, you're getting your endorphins. So that's really, really cool.
I don't I was going to say, there's another suggestion was actually going for a swim in a sauna. I did that with
Oh
one of
yeah,
my
you
Yes.
did
friends.
that, didn't you?
Yeah, literally a few weeks ago, and she suggested, oh, we were suggesting we could do a dinner, we go for a walk, and she's like, oh, I've got a spare gym pass at my gym. Do you want to come? We can go for a swim in a sauna. And it was actually so nourishing. Literally,
Yes.
we cooked a meal together. We went for a swim, sauna, showered, came back, had a dinner, and it was just so nice. And you don't even realize you're doing exercise when you're doing it. Okay, it was quite gentle.
Hmm.
It wasn't anything like arduous or, really intense. But it's just that whole, keep moving kind of
Moving.
thing.
Yeah.
So sorry, I jumped in there. Now go on.
No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely fine. So I had another question for you, Elysha. What would you
Hmm.
say to anyone that's worried about looking too muscly or, as a female, getting too big? What are your
Mm.
views on that? And how would you go about that for anyone
I
listening?
think I do think when it comes to fitness, it's important that you try not to focus too much on aesthetics. I think no matter what your body type or shape is, or was, or becomes, you're never going to be 100% happy with every square inch of your body. There's always going to be something that you're going to feel a little bit insecure about, or you wish you changed. But we all come in different shapes and sizes, and we're not going to look like whatever you think the ideal is. That the ideal doesn't exist. So I've always, in my training, tried to focus on, okay, how is this really going to benefit me, my mind, and my physical health, rather than the how I look, because we all need to be comfortable in our own skin and our own bodies, no matter what. It's your health that's most important. So I promise you, if you work out, if you put the work in, the aesthetics will follow, and you will feel happier, and you will feel more confident, no matter what the outcome of your body actually is. You're gonna look better for it, regardless, right? So, this idea about having really big arms, or looking too muscly, like it's not how you're going to feel once you've actually put the work in. You're never going to feel like that.
I agree. I really do. I remember when I was working out, you look at yourself in the mirrors because you got the mirrors right in front of you when you're working out.
Mm,
And
mm,
my body does look different to before, and it's about, yeah,
mm.
that's okay, but I feel good, I feel stronger, and it's
Yeah.
almost about accepting that change. And I think whenever things change, there can be a little bit of, fear around that change, fear of the unknown, fear of how other people are going to see you or other people are going to perceive you. But I think you hit the nail
Mm,
on the head there that actually, do you know what, you're going to feel better, and that's
I think
so.
yeah.
it's all about how you feel. I know
Yeah.
I started growing out of my clothes because I was putting on a bit more muscle, and like my Indian outfits were not fitting me, and I'd having to get them adjusted. And then honestly, I think my mom made not an, just a comment in passing, or just about being like, oh, have a word with your PT so you don't get too big, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Worried about, and actually, I was a bit like, I actually it doesn't bother me. Like I actually feel stronger, I feel healthier, I feel happier, and yeah. So what if I have to get a new sari blouse stitch? Like it's
That's
not
so
the
funny that you said that, because I had the exact same thing with my mom. When I started working out, she'd be like, "Oh, you're getting really muscly," and like none of my Indian clothes fit me anymore. And honestly, year to year, I have to go to my cupboard, and nothing fits me the same anymore. But my style has changed as a result, actually. So you kind of just, as your body changes, it's certain clothes suit different body types, right? So you just find that you suit certain things more than others. So it's not a bad thing. You're just changing maybe the way you wear certain clothes, but you just kind of find a new style around it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
to
fun.
even
It's fun.
show off those muscles if you want.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like now, for example, everything's a crop top.
Love that.
Absolutely
Not
everything I wear is a crop top.
Go you. You
go
do
you.
you now.
You go. You
Yeah.
do you.
So you've hit your goal about I want to do pull-ups with more ease. What's your goal currently? Or what are you working on next? So you mentioned you want to get more endurance, but is
Yeah.
there any specific goal in your head that you're working towards?
So with the calisthenics specifically. There are a few in there. Muscle ups is a big one. It's been on there for a
What's
while.
that? What's a muscle up?
So muscle up is actually where you transition from going from a pull up to getting around the bar and then pushing yourself
Oh,
up.
oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, so
Right.
pulling yourself up over the bar, pushing up, and then back down. Handstands, still just trying to be able to hold more consistently for a longer period of time, and then press into a handstand, meaning you're going from the ground and just lifting your legs into a handstand with ease, as opposed to kicking up into one. So just kind of more control. Push-up handstand as well. So there are so many different goals with calisthenics. I mean, and that's what's so fun about it, is it's limitless. Like, I know that I will never ever get bored of it, like you would weight training in the gym, because the number of skills that there are to learn to be one of the most elite athletes is endless. So it's really fun being able to tick off each thing as you go. So that's with the calisthenics. I've for a while really wanted to get into some kind of combat training, so like boxing or Muay Thai specifically. So that's one of my goals. And then with the endurance, I've been thinking about maybe doing a bit more high rocks training. But yeah, it's the runs that I really need to work on, and the endurance, because trying to run for 8 kilometers in between doing all those exercises is insane. Like, big respect for people to do that high rocks.
Absolutely. And do you know what I find that's giving me a lot of joy is, we've known Elysha for a really long time, but I've never seen you speak so passionately about anything as you do
About anything.
calisthenics. Maybe food. Actually, this is an important point. Elysha eats well. Yeah.
I
She
do.
doesn't skimp out on food, none of this. She eats well. And I think that's also something that's really important when you're building muscle, which also I underestimated. You
Yeah.
do need to eat properly and you need to eat more. Like, that is really important that, it's really important that you give your body the right fuel it needs to
Yeah.
build the muscle.
Yeah.
But it is really, really nice to hear you talking so passionately about
Well,
calisthenics.
thanks. My eating habits have definitely changed over time as well.
Really? Do you mean like
Yeah.
snacking less, or what's changed?
So previously, when I used to gym, used to be that person that would have protein shakes every day, maybe like a protein bar, really focused on like trying to hit protein goals, or eat as much and drink as much protein as possible. But the problem is, a lot of this protein, a lot of these snacks, they're so processed, and they're actually really unhealthy for us. So I've tried to now take my protein intake from organic foods, from whole foods, from my meals, as opposed to buying anything processed. So my mindset's now kind of shifted from, just thinking about protein intake to, what I'm consuming, is it healthy for my body? Are there, a lot of preservatives, additives? There's, so much packaged up now that we don't even know half of what's in these
Yeah, it's
foods
true.
anymore.
You read the ingredients and you don't actually understand the ingredients, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
really important. It just gives you like maybe even a deeper appreciation for your body because you're working out so much.
Yes.
Actually, like, your body is your temple. You want to treat it really well, like with
Yeah.
respect, feed it the right stuff. So I think that's really, really cool as well.
But also, I
Yeah, it's
think
not just about feeding your muscle. You need to just feed your body and what's healthy for your body. So my mindset shifted from, I just need protein just for muscle, to actually I need to have a well-balanced diet, which is good and healthy for me,
absolutely. And I think, yeah, nutrition, fitness, it all goes hand in hand. And I think when you start with one, you inevitably you find yourself educating yourself about the other, because if you're trying to hit fitness goals, that's not just going to happen just with the exercise or the fitness element alone. It needs to, you need to look into the nutrition bit as well. So, it's really
Yeah.
exciting. I think through the whole process, you're learning about your body. And I think that's really what I want to emphasize is everyone's bodies works uniquely, and actually, like, there's no copy and paste formula of how to optimize your body. It's a process that you need to or a journey you need to just go on to understand it better. So how it responds to certain foods, it can be really different for everyone, as well as like what kind of exercises and things that suit you, your flexibility. There's so many variables, but yeah, just get to know your body really well. I wanted to ask a little bit about sort of as a woman doing a lot of fitness stuff, like, do you find there's certain times of the month where you have more energy, other times when you don't? And if so, and this is a very personal question, but and it's going to be different for everybody, but do you find that you change your approach or your intensity of workouts, or the number of times you might be training around your menstrual cycle?
So yes, like any woman, I have mood changes throughout, and I think that's where it's sort of more difficult, really. Fortunately, I'm not someone to get, really severe pain, or anything like that. It's more so just feeling and mood, and but that's often, a big mental block. See, to anything you're doing, diet especially, really, really challenging when it comes to cycles. But when it comes to working out, I just know just to not to be too hard on myself. If I'm going through a difficult phase, that it's okay. I've showed up to the gym, I'm there, and I'm going to do what I can. And if it's not the best workout, if I've not performed at my optimum, or maybe been there for as long as I wanted to, at least I've kind of showed up and I've done something, even if it's just to stretch, even if it's just for a bit of mobility. It's still a good time for me to just spend on me, and just I still feel better for it afterwards. So if anything, it's going to help me through those difficult phases in my cycle.
And yeah, absolutely. There's no black or white with anything really when it comes to this sort of thing. And I think if you're that type of personality, which I think I was probably a little bit like, if I start something or if I decide I want to do something, I'm like all in, and literally I will go to like, 0 to 100 and perhaps a bit too extreme, if I'm honest, where you're either cutting something out completely or you're just focusing on one thing and getting a bit too obsessive over it. But then what I recognized is that you have to make peace with the grey, because there'll be certain times where you don't want to deprive yourself of having that tiny bit of birthday cake at someone's party, or you might say, actually, I'm feeling so exhausted today, I know I've not been sleeping very well, and I've just had a lot on recently, and actually, yes, I want to train, but maybe that type of training is not suitable for me or my body right now, but I'll do something else. I'll go for a walk instead, or I'll do some kind of milder, gentler activity which will keep me moving but match where I'm at right now. And so and that's okay. And I think when you recognize that, each workout doesn't have to be like next level, or it doesn't have to be like a huge achievement, or you've got to hit a personal best or a goal every single time. It's that showing up for yourself in a
Yeah.
way that is kind to you, but also equally pushing yourself when sometimes your brain is trying to keep you a bit too extra comfortable, when really you can pull up your socks and get the job done. But yeah, find your why. I think motivation is really important. So if it is getting stronger, it's a way more stronger motivator, I think, than I want to fit into that dress type thing. I think that's and much more sustainable. And actually, there's two things that led me to start training, because I was somebody who absolutely hated the gym. So I actually, funnily enough, always considered myself sporty. So at school, like playing netball or dancing, and so I did see myself as reasonably sporty, but the gym really never stuck. So I'd go through phases, like in summer holidays, I'd get passes and I'd go regularly, but then I wouldn't necessarily be consistent. And so it was never a place that really inspired me or got me excited, or really I was able to pursue consistently. But two things I got told in a short space of time actually changed my view. One of them was like, if you want to be more emotionally resilient, you need to build muscle. And the process of building muscle can be difficult and challenging. You've got to push yourself, push your mental limits. And I think it's painful. And so actually being able to endure that discomfort really helps build emotional resilience. And I was at that point where I knew I was on that journey and I needed to do that. So, and then around the same time, I think somebody, one of my dance teachers was like, if you want to improve your dancing, you need to improve
Was it
your
your core, Tejo?
core. Yes, that was
Yeah.
what it is. So they kind of like, I had these two messages come to me, but the motivation was that I want to improve my dance and I want to be more emotionally resilient. So there's nothing in there that was about weight, or there's nothing in there about like aesthetics. But those two things led me to do something that I previously absolutely didn't really like or potentially hated, and that led me to do a full 180 and go back into the gym again. So yeah, I thought I'd share
Never
that.
too late.
No,
It's
it's never too late. It's never too late.
not.
It's
Never too
really
late.
interesting that you kind of found that you needed to build emotional resilience, and then you had to look at training, because I think for me it happened the other way around. I think because I've been training for so many years and I'd built up so much strength, I didn't realize, but I was building emotional resilience along the way, to a point where, you know, I got to a period in my life where I had to sort of make a big decision about which path I was going to take, where I was going. But because I'd been building, you know, such strength over time physically, I had the mental strength to make the decisions that I needed to in my life that actually steered me in a different direction. So yeah, it's really powerful, the what it can do for your mind, and not everyone realizes one way or the other, but they go hand in hand.
Yeah, if only there was something physical that could be that could, you know, how you can see the physical results of your body of the work you put in, whichever
Yeah,
exercise you do. But if all those mental exercises you do, you can't actually physically see the
yeah,
change, right, in your kind of,
No,
because
you
you
can't.
can't visualize it,
You can't,
but
but
it
you
will be
can
reflected
feel
in
it.
your,
Yes.
it'll be reflected in your decisions, how quickly you make decisions, what kind of confidence
yeah,
you're showing up with for yourself in life, and all of those things. So
yeah,
that's when you realize there is something really good happening here. And that
yeah,
takes a while. But I think Nehal and I can totally agree with you, Elysha, that we've found ourselves, because of the training that we're doing, is nothing intense, to be fair, but it is reflecting really positively
It
in
is.
that
yeah,
attitude.
And it is. And also, you know, in times where things get really tough and messy and, you know, hard, um, you almost think back to like lifting that dumbbell. You know, like if
mm,
you did that, you can do this. And actually, one thing that I read on one of your stories that gets me through my last few reps was, yeah, I think you posted on the story once. It was like, you know, if well, I'm already in pain, so what's a little more pain or something like
yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Um, Now, when I'm doing my last few reps of like a higher weight in a set, I'm just like, well, listen, I'm already in pain. What's a bit more pain? And that literally
yes,
be going. And
just push through it.
you just have to get through it. You just have to get through it. And you know, sometimes when I'm doing reps, I will literally be just saying things over and over in my mind, like, I'm so strong. I'm so amazing. I'm so strong. And
Mm.
like doing the reps, saying that in my mind. But that pain thing works really well for me. So anyone listening, please
Yeah.
try. Let us know how you get on. You might be hating us, being like, stop making
And
us
that's
do this.
amazing, because that's you telling yourself that. Obviously, it's so much easier when you have a coach or you have someone there to like push you or keep you going. But the fact that you're
Yeah.
there doing it on your own, you know, it's 10 times harder, and you're pushing yourself through it. So well done.
Yeah, no, bless you. Thank you. No, it's been an amazing, amazing conversation, Alicia. And I know our listeners will have been inspired or at least taken something away for some food for thought. Because the benefits of exercise, physical strength, feeling good
Mm.
about yourself, there's nothing like it. And
Yeah.
the process will shape you as a person and build you,
Mm.
you know, build that better version of you. So, as we conclude the episode, is there a certain message or some, you know, a certain one or two tips that you would like to leave our listeners as we finish?
I'd just like to say, you know, look, gym isn't going to be for everyone. Calisthenics isn't going to be for everyone. Make sure you're doing something that you enjoy. Um, and just show up for it, make a commitment, and see it through, because you'll see the benefits at the end of it. No matter how small it is, how intense or not intense it is, just doing something regularly that's going to be good for your mental health, and just keeping you active, it's going to benefit you at the end.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank
Elysha.
you,
It's been a
guys.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to hit follow on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and hit subscribe on YouTube so that you never miss a new one. It really helps if you rate and review the show, and if you found this episode valuable, share it with a friend, family member, or colleague. We appreciate your support and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.